Welcome to Special Stage. I'm Paul Woodford and you're joining us in Cumbria where the drama has begun before the first stage miles of the 2023 MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship have been run. Wintry storms hitting parts of the UK worse than others in the past few days, and the north of England in particular has seen an extraordinary amount of snowfall, making travel to and around the Lake District difficult. The Malcolm Wilson Rally kicks us off once again in 2023. And we're joined by the British Rally Championship here, which means there was a recce for the stages for those crews yesterday and gave the organisers a good feel for which parts of the stages were, able to be used competitively, which ones were safe, which weren't, which ones looked like they might improve ahead of the rally starting today. In this situation, as the organiser of a rally and indeed a championship, you cannot win. And you certainly can't please everyone. But I have to take my hat off to the Malcolm Wilson Rally organisers, to Clerk of the Course, Kevin Savage and his team, because they spent last night frantically reworking the rally route. No mean feat. Cancelling stages, doubling up on usage in other stages, changing the route, the road route, the stage route, the schedule, timings, running order, amending the regulations, ensuring the logistics for the competitors, officials, spectators and stakeholders of the event are all put in place. Do you know what? It would have been far easier for the event to be cancelled. However, we've seen a display of guts, determination and ultimately the same passion that we all share for this sport. And we will be going rallying today. So well done. And thank you to the Malcolm Wilson Rally organisers and all of the people who have helped to get this rally on today, in spite of that weather. Briefly, the rally will now start at 9, although we are a few minutes late into this first stage of the day. There will be 5 stages, a total of approximately 40 miles of competitive action, less than the rally was intended to be, less than the BRC competitors were going to be doing, certainly. But it's, it's not far off the stage mileage of a regular BTRDA round, so fair play. We start here in Greystoke before heading to Grysdale South. 7.5 miles through Greystoke. Grysdale South is 8.5, and that's followed by Grysdale North, just under 9 miles long. Then 2 more runs through this Greystoke stage. The rally will run in conventional seeded order as appears on the entry list. No historics and 1400s up first, as we've become used to. We've lost Hobcart and Coombe and Withup, so please, if you were heading out spectating, you've booked your car parking, just stay at home today. The organisers will refund you. We will bring you live action throughout the day from Greystoke. And remember, if you are heading out still spectating, Greystoke in particular has no spectator access. It is being enforced. Please follow the instructions of the marshals. An exciting prospect in store today. Not only do you have a bumper BTRDA, MRF Tyres BTRDA rally entry, as I say, we'll be joined by the British Rally Championship crews. We'll be focusing, of course, on the narrative of the BTRDA Championship for the purposes of this live coverage, but we will show you every crew through the entry on at least the first couple of runs of Greystoke. And we've got a couple of WRC stars joining us as well. Adrian Formeau, Alexandra Corrier in the Fiesta Rally 2. Glorious and very different looking colour scheme on that car, as it was part of M Sport at the start as well. And Jordan, the WRC driver in the Puma Rally 1, the first time a Rally 1 car has been seen in the UK. It is competing as well, those two at car 1 and 2 respectively. Gregoire Munster alongside Serderidis. Interesting. I know a lot of people are excited to see this Rally 1 Puma out on the stages, and for most of us, especially with no Wales Rally GB, at the moment at least, the prospect of it is fairly slim. So this is a rare opportunity. Do enjoy it, and we will bring you, as I say, every crew through, but we're focusing on the BTRDA. So to the BTRDA then, and I can hear cars in the stage. We're about a third of the way into this 7.5 mile Greystoke opener here at the Malcolm Wilson Rally. But briefly, the Malcolm Wilson is followed by the Rally Nuts in April, the Border Counties. Absolutely love that event with the ceremonial start and finish in Jedburgh last year. That's in May. Kielder Forest Rally in June. Then it's the Nicky Grist stages in July, followed by the Woodpecker stages and the Track Rod, both in September, before the Cambrian rounds things off, as has become customary, in October. As always, The titles being hunted down from this very first round. The Gold Star, 4-wheel drive. Silver Star, 2-wheel drive. Fuchs Lubricants, Bronze Star. That's the 1400s. The Rally First 1.4 and 2 litre classes, as well as the Historic Cup and the R2 Rally Cup. The big news is that our Gold Star champion, Elliot Payne, is back to defend his title, this time with Tom Woodburn alongside. Woody Woodburn replacing Patrick Walsh in the Navigator's side of that Mango Go Fiesta. And although Payne does appear on the BRC entry, unlike Callum Black, he didn't do the recce yesterday, which means he can and will feature on the BTRDA leaderboard today. Youngest ever BTRDA winner, pitching himself against some formidable opposition, not least those who were pushing him hard all last season. Matthew Hurst, Stephen Petch, even 2008 champion Hugh Hunter out to do business again in the BTRDA this season, although I do understand that he, due to co-driver Rob Fagg not being able to get off the Isle of Man and get here yesterday, Hugh Hunter has pulled his entry. That's not confirmed or official, but I have been told that this morning. But I'm sure that won't stop him mounting a title charge this year. Rob Wright, Mark Fisher back to defend their Silver Star title. Andy Davison, the flying Kiwi Boyd Kershaw, and a whole host of others all in the mix from this first round. And in the Bronze Star as well, Lewis Hooper returns after his stellar year in the Rally First categories and will be going for overall 1400 glory, I have no doubt, in that Micra. Nigel Jenkins, Ed James, Dale Glover among the ever-growing crowd of entrants filling Lewis's rear-view mirror, metaphorically speaking. So the sound of Rally 2 and, for the first time ever, Rally 1 cars fills the forests here in Cumbria, in the Lake District. The stage is slippery. We've driven through a part of the stage to get here, and underfoot it is compact, it is solid. I've just been talking to a couple of the BTRDA crews, and like Gravel Notes crew out here in the first stage of the day. They're asking, what's the weather like? Well, do you know what? I'll tell you as well. The weather is much better than we were perhaps expecting with what we've had this week. It's blue skies, quite a bit of cloud, but still no wind, and it's the wind that makes things really cold for us stood out here. But to the competing crews, they have got a lot of ice to contend with. There are still very snowy sections in other places, and even where you see the wheel tracks from the cars that have been covering the stage mileage this week, they are solid. You see, kicking things off, WRC stars Adrian Formo. Front end of that Rally 2 Works M Sport Fiesta, lifting its nose and powering off into the distance. Even broken the silence here on the first stage of the day. If you're just joining us, this is live coverage from the first stage of the Malcolm Wilson Rally. It's the first round of the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship. I'm Paul Woodford. You're joined by a special stage on our live stream throughout the day. We're going to have live coverage from at least 2, if not the 3rd as well, of the Greystoke stages here, so make sure you stay tuned to the page and click the link underneath to be notified when we go live. We are focusing on the BTRDA Championship narrative as that kicks off here today, but of course we've got the British Rally Champion. Oh, not of course, we've got the British Rally Championship here as well with us, and a couple of WRC stars, and you're about to see something very special and hopefully very spectacular indeed. Certainly a first in the UK, and something that we should be very grateful to be able to witness. That, for anyone who hasn't managed to get to a round in the last couple of years of the World Rally Championship, is what the WRC currently looks like. That is a Rally 1. I can't take the smile off my face seeing a current Works World Rally car through the stage. That's a Rally 1 Puma M Sport fielding that car. The Greek driver Jordan Sedaridis with Gregoire Munster alongside in that car, and actually appearing on the entry as well. Of course, it's an FIA homologated car. Why not? That was quite a sight to behold. In fact, I just glanced around at the people stood in his stage, and there were some nods of approval. Keith Cronin there, the first of the British Rally Championship crews through, with Mikey Galving alongside in that Polo R5. Didn't seem to be going too badly there, did he? It's a slippery surface out there for these guys, especially the ones not on snow tyres. The rally has been declared a winter rally, so snow tyres are permitted, but of course that all happened last night, so very few crews will have had chance to source them and bought them on.
The whole surface is ice from down there.
So yeah, a bit of early bravery there from Keith Cronin, because the whole of this surface of this stage is ice. I can just see that Rally 1 Puma heading off in the distance to the side of the trees as we wait for, will it be, hopefully, according to the entry list, James Williams, and it is James Williams who joined us here on special stage for our live stream of the East Riding stages a couple of weeks ago. And that new BRC programme of James's broke cover this week in that Rally 2 Fiesta. A new look for James Williams, the Welshman who, not long out of the juniors, had the Hyundai R5. I said that correctly as well. James will be proud when he watches this back. Last year, did extremely well in the BRC, third place in the championship. We should now be looking for our reigning Gold Star champion here in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship. He's wearing two hats today. He's competing in the British Rally Championship event as well, but he didn't do the recce yesterday, as I mentioned earlier. So Elliot Payne with Tom Woody Woodburn alongside, who crashed last year, if you remember, quite spectacularly. Took the rear, Navigator's rear corner off the Fiesta Rally 2. It was a new car to him then. This is the new car again. Very cautious, just feeling his way under the brakes. You can see the car dipping and diving as it came through to the braking point. Elliot not quite as confident as the first two BRC competitors we saw through the stage. But this is a spectacularly treacherous surface. Don't be fooled by what you can see on the coverage on your screen. That is gravel, but it is rock solid. And I'm not exaggerating at all. It is just ice. So Elliot back to defend that Gold Star title, which is fantastic news for the BTRDA. We didn't have that last year, did we? Gary Pearson downed tools as far as the BTRDA was concerned after taking the title in 2021. Another man who will be coming out in the BTRDA this season, but he did the recce yesterday for the BRC, so won't be featuring on the leaderboard today. Callum Black, Jack Morton alongside in that fairly new to him Fiesta Rally 2. Did a couple of events and impressed quite considerably last year in that car. Callum, just at this first round, hedging his bets in terms of the BRC, but we do expect to see him competing in the BTRDA this season. Watch this space to have people like Callum and Elliot going wheel to wheel in these stages will be very special this year indeed, with other names in the mix as well, such as Matthew Hurst, Declan Deere, Stephen Petch, Michael Wilkinson, Ian Bainbridge, Will Atkins. There's some great names fighting in the BTRDA this year. Talking of Gary Pearson, 2021 MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Champion here, contesting the BRC round of the Malcolm Wilson Rally. Hannah McKillop alongside in that Skoda Fabia R5 that took him to such big things. BTRDA, the Welsh, the Scottish in 2021. So yeah, an all-star cast joining us then at this first round. It's always a popular rally, this, and it's quite a fitting start to the year, being based, as far as the rally administration and scrutineering is concerned, the home of the Ford, M Sport Ford World Rally Team, and that's why we have such a strong showing from them this year. I saw that Malcolm Wilson had a go in that Rally 1 Puma at the M Sport test track during the week. A couple of weeks ago, was it? Half hoping we might see him in the car. Or even 2 Rally 1 Pumas. Now that would be something, wouldn't it? Him and Kelly. Conor Mohan again. British Rally Championship contender. So the BTRDA competitors mixed in with those BRC competitors here at the Malcolm Wilson. Welcome to the live stream if you're just joining us. We will get round to what Tim Rogers is having for breakfast in a short while, although with the changes to the event schedule, we are obviously a bit later getting this live stream and getting this first stage underway than we were perhaps hoping to. So maybe Tim's already had his breakfast by now. Maybe it'll be a case of guess what Tim had for breakfast. We won't be able to enjoy the moment with him. Hello to Tim if you tuned in. Thanks for your support recently, mate. And thanks to you if you've tuned in, if you've got involved with our coverage so far this season. It feels like it's been a busy season, as you see a man who undoubtedly will have a busy season, hopefully busier than the last one in terms of rallying. Just getting onto 2 wheels ever so slightly there, Matthew Hurst with Declan Deere alongside. Those two came out of the blocks in that Fiesta R5 last year, having had the Evo the year before. And you know what? They impressed us from the off. They clipped the same rock in Greystoke, just further on near the end of this stage that we covered in our live coverage that Elliot Payne clipped. But they managed to get away with it. They did get a puncture, but finished the stage. And they took 6th overall, 4th in the B14 class in that Fiesta R5 on this rally last year. If you're watching the results, btrdarallyresults.co.uk, that's where you'll get your updates. They'll be live and up to the minute as the cars go through the stage. Numb fingers taken into account. We will try and keep you updated. Ian Arden, if you're watching, I need some live leaderboards from you, pal. Rory Young. Alan Cadder's just passing us by in this first stage of the day. So yeah, the only thing that you will need to do if you're looking at the BTRDA results at btrdarallyresults.co.uk is cross-reference the times from Elliot Payne and Tom Woodburn, because they will appear on the BRC leaderboard. But because they didn't do the recce, they will be scoring points in both. So just factor that in if you're looking at the results yourselves. As I say, we will keep you updated throughout the day with results as they come through. And yeah, this is all about just giving you a bit of a flavour of these stages, particularly on this round with the spectator access having changed because of the changes to the event yesterday due to the weather. It's great for us to be able to bring you this live coverage and get out here on the stages and give you the best possible experience we can from home. As you see Hugh Brunton, Drew Sturrock in there. One of the Rally 2 Evo Skoda Fabias. Sound grunty, don't they? Stephen Petch, Michael Wilkinson should be along next. 2017 MRF tyres, BTRDA Rally Champions. A new colour scheme on the SGP Fiesta. Not sure if Stephen has any plans to be going to the WRC again this year. If you remember, he did in Portugal last year. Didn't end too well for him, but he was putting in some impressive times before that. Not something that will surprise you if you've seen his pace over certainly the last 10 years here in the BTRDA, but he's always been one to watch. And Stephen Petch, Michael Wilkinson back in the MRF tyres, BTRDA Rally Championship, ready for a crack again. The experienced crews up against the young guns. We're hoping to get Perry Gardner back. He's not here at this round, but
Somebody stopped.
a man who went incredibly well last year, and it's great to have that fight between Perry and Elliot. New youngsters, new young blood in the sport. We've got a car stopped in the stage, not far from where we are. I just heard the engine cut off there, and producer Wayne has that concerned face that he pulls when he thinks that there might be a delay, and we won't get any rally cars for a while. So we'll keep you updated. I can still hear cars in the stage. Sounds like someone's trying to get that car restarted. But yeah, so we've got some big names coming out. Mark Donnelly, Stephen O'Hanlon, you're going to see from shortly. They failed to finish this rally last year. They'll have the bit between their teeth. They'll want to make sure they go one better than that. And to remind you, I believe it's not confirmed, but having switched from the Cat 3 historic RS 1800 Escort last year on this event. Hugh Hunter was due to be here in a Fiesta R5, but because of Rob Fagg struggling to get off the Isle of Man because of the weather conditions, we understand he won't be here. Alan Devasu, Max Freeman alongside there. They're struggling in that Fiesta. Rally 2 engine sounding a little bit choked up at low speed with a bit of a misfire. That might have been the issues that we heard with the car stopping just before they got to where we are in this stage. 7.5 miles this Greystoke stage. We're about a third of the way in. This is the opening stage of the Malcolm Wilson Rally, the opening stage of the 2023 MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship, our 15th year of covering events in the championship here at Special Stage, and we're delighted to be back with you, bringing you live action from every single rally this season. '16 MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally champions Charlie Payne, Carl Williamson in their Fiesta Rally 2. The secondary Mango Go colour scheme that's almost Elliot's spare car if you look at his packed out campaign last year with tarmac events and gravel events in close succession. Charlie Payne still got it, but last year son Elliot certainly had the measure of him. Not something that Charlie minded talking about. I think he was delighted with how the season went as far as the team was concerned, and great to see Steve Perez throwing his support behind the Payne's campaign as well with that great Mango Go colour scheme. Remember the days of the Vodka Kick and the Kick Energy cars? Focus WRC, the Porsche 911, the Lancia Stratos, and then Hooch. And here we are with Mango Go, naturally based energy drink, part of the global brand franchise of Steve Perez. You see Gavin Edwards, Karen Tomlinson. If you're watching this, wondering why we've got people who are not BTRDA competitors, it's because the British Rally Championship is joining us for this first round. There'll be a few events this year where we share the billing here in the BTRDA. We don't mind doing that, you know. The BTRDA is the UK's premier gravel championship. Their strapline is serious fun, and from start to finish last year, they lived up to every bit of that. Battles in every single class, and we've got 3 of our classes: the Gold Star, Silver Star, Fuchs Lubricants, Bronze Star, with our reigning champions back to defend those titles, and there's nothing to say that the others won't be coming out at further rounds either. So a thrilling prospect in store across the 8 rounds of the BTRDA this season. Ian Bainbridge, Will Atkins with their MRF tyres emblazoned across the back of that Fiesta Rally 2. They were 2nd overall and 2nd in B14. Did a Fabia last year, switching to that Fiesta for this year's campaign. The Fiesta's certainly the car to have. It doesn't seem to matter whether you're on gravel, tarmac, or broken bits of anything else at the moment. There are still some Skodas out there, as you've seen, doing the business. Still the odd Hyundai as well. We have lost a few names from the entry list. If you're looking at the mixed overall entry list, a few of the BRC names have dropped out this morning. I understand, again, that's things I've heard. It's not been confirmed or official, but as you watch this rally, just consider that it would have been so much easier last night for the organisers to have called it a day. But no, they put every single bit of effort, burning the midnight oil, to make sure that they were out here. As you see, Alistair Gindley and Craig Thornley last did this rally in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship in 2019. They had mechanical retirement that year. They're back in the Fiesta Rally 2. Cautious start from them. To remind you, if you didn't join us for the very first part of the stream, I explained that the surface here is utterly treacherous. It is packed ice. The gravel that you see, there's a reason it's not being kicked up. It's starting to just work its way free and become a little swept at the corner at the hairpin that you see, but on this straight here, before you get to the braking zone, it is just ice, and that must be incredibly unnerving. That's why you see the cars coming through that, just that little crest in the trees there. You see the cars getting ever so sideways. As you see a man joining us in the BTRDA and really throwing that Skoda into the hairpin. Aaron Newby, Jamie Edwards alongside. A solid pair of hands in that navigator's seat in the form of Jamie Edwards. Aaron Newby is really looking at a big push in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Series this year. He was 7th overall, 5th B14 last year. And as you saw there, coming into the braking zone, twitching sideways, trying to get that Skoda under control and then just swinging it into the hairpin. Aaron Newby is having fun inside that car. He's enjoying, by the looks of it, these stages, this opening stage of the Malcolm Wilson Rally, despite the conditions. And just to finish what I was saying, congratulations to the organisers and everybody who's had a hand in getting this event underway, because there were 100 reasons that it shouldn't and couldn't and wouldn't have gone ahead, but they made every effort to make sure that it did, albeit with a changed schedule. So if you were heading out spectating, please bear that in mind and either enjoy this live stream, this live coverage we've got for you from all 3 of the Greystoke stages. We're looking. If you are heading out spectating, check the latest information. As you see, Russ Thompson, Stephen Link, surely a pair who will be fighting at the top of the Gold Star leaderboard, and certainly at the top of the leaderboard today. 8th overall they were last year, 3rd in B13 in that Evo. Had a big accident last year, and came up fighting after that. The car has had to have a full rebuild. But that pair like to go fast and very sideways, and they're spectacular to watch, and we're delighted to have them back here fighting in the BTRDA Rally Championship. If you were tuning in, hoping or expecting to see the Historics and the Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star 1400s through first, because of the changes to the running order, the organisers have opted to run the entry lists in full consecutive order, starting from car 1. And that will be the case for all of the stages today. Rest of the BRC Juniors, Johnny Moorholt, Leon Tracy, Fiesta Rally 3. Interesting rally cars, those. Some of the kit from an R5 packed in under those small arches. Obviously the arch is the notable difference, the aero package on the Rally 3 compared to the Rally 2 Fiesta. Daniel Sigarson and Mitsubishi Evo 9. Few crews mixed in who are competing on the event but not necessarily registered for the BTRDA or the BRC, which is why if you're looking at an entry list, they will be the ones, if your entry list is anything like mine, that are not highlighted. Up next is a favourite of mine, always spectacular to watch, and it'll be a sad day when he finally gives in, if he gives in finally to the temptations of modern rally cars and the advantages to be had in having an up-to-date piece of machinery underneath you in these forests. For now, let's just enjoy the fact that Ian Joel and Graham Wood have an Escort Cosworth underneath them. They were 10th overall on this event last year, 4th in B13. And they're always somewhere in the fight, but just look at that Escort Cosworth completely sideways coming into that small crest coming through the trees, just showing how slippery this surface is. Ian not wanting to throw that Escort around, a few mishaps to the car last year. Emblazoned with that glorious MRF tyres livery, and doesn't that sound good? Shades of Group A / early WRC in that exhaust note, echoing and popping and banging its way through the forests. And you know what? I only wish you could smell it at home, because that smells glorious. If you are joining us on the live stream, Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. We've got live coverage here on special stage of, well, certainly the first two, probably the third as well, of the Greystoke stages here on the Malcolm Wilson Rally. We're covering the 2023 MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship, and we will have live coverage from every single rally this season. And we'll also have, as part of our Seacon UK Rally Show, a monthly roundup of action, which will include highlights packages from the event as well. But problem on that Subaru Alex Gonzalo, there was flames popping out the underneath of the engine. I think that was perhaps just a damaged exhaust, actually. Talking of shades of Group A. Don't see many GC8 Imprezas thrown around at this end of the entry list anymore, do you? I will try with my numb fingers to get to some of your comments. Chris Williams looks nice and fresh. It certainly does. It is nice and fresh out here. Morning's Paul Hargreaves. Mark Grant watching from East Yorkshire. Thank you for your kind words, Mark. Danny Wright watching in Carlisle and Cumbria. Trevor Gamble, Phil Kennedy, and they were 23rd on the overall leaderboard. It was a new car to them last year, that Rally 2. We'll be hoping to get to grips a bit more with that. Max Freeman was in with... No, he wasn't. Ignore me. They were 13th. The BRC crews have done their recce on it yesterday. You've got various rescue and marshal vehicles going through the stage. It's not a comfortable day to be sat in a rally car, strapped in, heading through the Cumbrian forests, let's put it that way. But these guys do what they do for a reason. And for most of them, I can't imagine that will bother them in the slightest. You've seen the first few competitors on the entry list through now, and you've seen differing levels of commitment. But one thing's for certain, that is ice. In stage, it's difficult to walk on, let alone drive on. So fair play to everybody out there today. Wishing them all a successful and safe rally. Rob Wilson watching from Ravenel. We'll be seeing him in the coverage for the Ravenel Championship this season. Good to have you with us, Rob. Stan Kuzero joining us as well. Super for somebody whose photographs are part of my post-event ritual. And I love the photos from this event. I'm hoping for more of those. Stan, I hope you're out there on the stages watching with us, mate. Eddie Lewis, John Cunniff there. 21st overall, 11th B14. Last year, then you have behind them from York, Gary Cooper, John Riley, not registered for either championship, but as I mentioned earlier, although our focus and the narrative for today for this live coverage is the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship, we will show you every single competitor through this entry. Weather permitting, we might get another snowstorm yet, and it might change everything. Morning to Mark Watkins. He's just leaving for Agbo scrutineering. Valuable work of people like Mark and the scrutineers, officials, marshals that we have across the UK and here today on the Malcolm Wilson. They've all put a hell of a shift in. There were some hard yards yesterday and this morning to get this rally underway against all the odds. Hello to Peter Lees, thanks for standing out in the coverage to standing out in the cold to bring the coverage. As you see, Daniel Moss and Samuel Davies, they were a DNF last year. No, last time they did spend, it's 2017 I think, and it looks like Mitsubishi Evo 10 has a bit of inner wheel arch hanging out on the driver's front corner. It's normally the navigator's front corner that has bits hanging off, isn't it? Going back to Peter's comment, you know what, it's our pleasure to stand out here in the cold bringing you the coverage. I would like it to be warmer, granted. I did see a photo from Steve Perez as I was heading off, setting off here yesterday, and as we were heading off wondering which roads to take and which roads will be closed due to snow, he was queuing up for the start of a stage in Mallorca next to, or surrounded by super yachts on a jetty with a Porsche 911 in front of him. So, no, it wasn't. It was a Ferrari 308. I'm correcting myself. My photographic memory just kicking in there to correct myself. But yeah, Steve Perry, one of us is doing this right? super yachts or the snow in the Cumbrian forests. I'm not sure, but we're having a whale of a time. Hello to Pete Rayner, legend of the sport, joining us here on the live coverage. Jamie Blanford. Yeah, there is a bale on the other side of the MRF banner that does look a little worse for wear. It's been like that since we got here this morning. So there was an incident on the recce. I'm sure I can talk about this. We witnessed it, or our crew witnessed it, where a certain Rally 1 Puma WRC star spun on the stage. Sedaridis spinning his car, and Callum Black couldn't stop. So a bit of a collision in the recce cars, and at the very beginning of the stream, I don't know if you tuned in right at the start, but if you did, you'll have seen a M Sport prepared Ford Cougar recce car coming through as course car. That was actually Philip Burton and Steve Pugh, who were drafted in yesterday at last minute. I saw them in the hotel last night to drive that car. I said to Philip, that is basically a works drive, so you know, it's the closest most of us will ever get to one anyway. But yeah, that was the car that Sedaridis was driving yesterday in the recce, which did have a bit of damage after that coming together with Callum, but all's well that ends well. The Cougar lives to fight another day, and we've seen both Callum and that Rally 1 Puma in action, blazing away through the forests at the first part of the entry today on the Malcolm Wilson Rally. Darren Martin, Daniel Hurst through in their Mitsubishi Evo 9 anti-lag turned up to max. I'm talking about this with James Williams, who you saw earlier in his new Rally 2 Fiesta when he joined us on the last bit of coverage we did at the first round of the Pro Tyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship, the East Riding stages. And you know, modern anti-lag systems, they still exist, but they're a lot more efficient, they're a lot quieter, they just don't have the theatre, do they? The theatre, of course, is in how fast they catapult the car out of the corner and get the power spinning, ready to transfer that onto the stage, of course, but the theatre of the pops and the bangs and the smells and the fire and everything else. With efficiencies and advances in technology comes a bit of a decrease in all of that. Colin Minton, who last year had Brian Hull in with him, it was their first event in the car last year. In fact, the first time he drove it was to scrutineering the night before the rally, which was remarkable. Bonnie Papper alongside in that Fiesta R5 this year. They were 18th in the B14 fight last year on that event. Andy Murphy really should be inside a rally car, but he doesn't need me to tell him. Formerly has co-driven for a long time with Russ Thompson in that Evo. Steve Link taking his place as family duties, and we all know how that goes, and that's important. Take over in Andy's life, but good to have you joining us. James Grattan-Smith, Ben Lawrence, talking about photographers, another great photographer in the sport. Young man whose photos, I mean, he's only been out really on the stages for last season, but he's got a good teacher in Paul Lawrence, his old man, of course. But he got some great shots on, was it the track rod we were on last year? With the Molten, no, it was the track rod, and well worth checking out. Neil Calvert echoing my comments about the organisers here at the Malcolm Wilson Rally. Watching with Arlene in Burnley, saying well done to the organisers for last minute route changes. I think Burnley play Hull City next week, don't they? On Wednesday night. Is it Wednesday night? So my town versus yours, Neil. F1000 Rally Club, the place that many of our rally careers started. Great bunch of people, fantastic concept, and something that has managed to kickstart the careers of some big stars in rallying. A lot of names that you see on the stages today, names that go as far as Chris Ingram, who's competing in the Rally 2 category of the WRC, all started in F1000. They're wishing all of their ex-juniors taking part today the best of luck on these treacherous and slippery stages. Dan Halpin's watching from Ireland. Plenty of your country folk joining us over here in Cumbria for this rally today, Dan. Great to have you with us. Peter Lewis, good to have you with us as well. Did we have Tim Rogers out there anywhere telling us what he was having for breakfast? It's become a bit of a staple of our coverage here at Special Stage, hasn't it? We'll get to that later. Producer Wayne rolling his eyes. Yes, we've reached that point already. Slight gap in the order on the stage, but I can hear cars in the stage, and all manner of reasons why there's a short delay, but nothing to be concerned about. To remind you, 7.5 miles here in Greystoke is the first stage of the day at the Malcolm Wilson Rally. A complete change of order. As you see, Stuart Eggleston, Brian Hodgson through in there, Mark II Escort. Just imagine coming through. I mean, we've seen four-wheel drive cars through until now, but just imagine doing this event on these icy, and it is icy, stages. Ice and snow in a Mark II Escort. Well, I suppose when I was a kid, that seems to be all I can actually picture in my head of rallies when I was a kid, watching the Lombard RAC and the snow in the Yorkshire forests, but we don't get so much of it now, and we don't have to deal with the modern world of health and safety when it comes to things like snow and keeping spectators and organisers and marshals and competitors safe. So lots of mountains to climb when the snow comes, as it did this last week. Big mountain to climb if you're in a Mark II Escort as well, but there is a man who is not seemingly put off at all by the conditions. Ben Friend, Cliffy Simmons, they were 14th overall in 2020 when they did this event last. Second in the H3 category in that year, and of course they were 2021 British Historic Rally Champions. Henry Greene taking that title off them last year after that momentous fight with Matt Edwards, Escort versus Fiat 131. But there in that all-glass Escort is a man who is surely staking his claim on the BTRDA Historic Cup this year. He won't have it all his own way. Maybe even the Silver Star could be within sights for a man of Ben Friend's talents and now experience as well. I seem to think of Ben as a junior, because he was when I first started doing this, and he's not. He's a man with great experience on his shoulders, a former British Historic Rally champion, and showing it all there coming through. You can see how cautious Boyd Kershaw in that new colour scheme of Flying Kiwi Mark II Escort is. Keegan Reid thumb up outside of the slider on that window. Great to see that pair back here in the BTRDA and staking their claim on a full title campaign. 2015 Silver Star champions. 2016 was the last time they did this event, and they were 14th overall. They won the B11 class, and they are mounting a charge on the Silver Star title this season. Flying Kiwi back with another colour scheme, and doesn't it look great? Producer Wayne will remember this. Remember when Keegan Rees walked up to us in the service area and asked us what he needed to do to compete in a rally car, Wayne?
Yep.
I can't remember where that was, mid-Wales or somewhere. And there he is, competing, and has competed at quite a high level in the sport now. Another man gunning for the Silver Star. We get a bit of a wave from Tom Murphy, who was checking the conditions in the stage with me earlier in that brand newly restored and rebuilt Sunbeam VXR. Andy Davison, Tom Murphy. They were third in B12 last year. They were just behind, in fact, our Silver Star, our reigning Silver Star champions, Rob Wright and Mark Fisher, who will be up next in their Mark II Escort. Some great battles unfolding in the last couple of years in the Silver Star, and you can see thumbs out the windows. These guys are loving their rallying at the moment. They're loving being part of the show that's being put on by the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship, with the live coverage and the ceremonial starts and all the effort and all of the pomp and circumstance. And there's that word again, the theatre, that's being injected back into the sport after the difficult few years we faced during the pandemic. These guys really enjoying their rally, and we are loving watching these battles unfold from the side of the stages. Bach alongside Rock in that Mark II. Really pushing on, not worried about the icy surface. You could hear them coming into the braking zone, still on the power. I think Ben Friend still gets the bravery award for me. Just came gunning in here, full throttle, and just stuck the anchors on and hoped it would stop. And when it didn't look like it would stop, he just slung it into the hairpin. That's how to do it. Hello to Paul Pav English. Who else have we got joining us? Great to have so many of you join us on the live stream today. Trevor Norbury. He's not made it up this year. Yeah, I bet it is warmer in front of your fire, pal. See Kyle White, John Topping. Donegal in their Peugeot 208. Glorious sounding rally cars. I was talking about the modern technology changes and efficiencies making rally cars quiet these days. Well, I tell you what, Serdaridis in his Rally 1 Works Puma and that Peugeot 208 beg to differ, don't they? If you did miss the first part of this live coverage, don't worry, because we'll have the full entry for you. We're focusing on the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship, but we'll have the full entry for you from the next Greystoke stage as well, and then we'll have as many of the entries on the list as possible in the third Greystoke stage of the day, the final stage of the day. But we do have to hot-foot it to the finish as well, so you'll have to forgive us for not giving you 3 full entries on our live coverage today. We'll give you 2. How's that? I haven't had Mark Donnelly past yet, I don't believe. Conor Maguire. We have had a few crews running out of order, so I haven't lost hope yet. Palmer Pride, Liam McIntyre in their Fiesta Rally 4. Looking for Neil Andrew next up from the MRF Tyres BTRDA contingent. He'll have Dom Adams back alongside after their rally first success when he first came onto the scene. Hearing from a couple of you on the stream that you've got audio sync issues. We haven't got them here.
Yeah, it won't be able to change it without stopping it.
So it'll just depend. Different people seem to have different experiences there. We'd have to stop the live coverage, so we'll resync again. That's what technical things Wayne does at the start of the next stage. Don't worry about that. Casey J. Coleman with Adam Coffey alongside, again over from Ireland, in their Fiesta Rally 4 competing in the BRC. At least if the pictures are behind the sound, you get a bit of a flavour of who's coming, don't you? Don't worry about it, Alex. Brian Kemp's is all good. So after this first Greystoke stage of the day, there are 2 Grysdale stages. Grysdale South and Grysdale North. 8.5 miles and 8.99 miles to be exact, respectively, before heading back here for another 15-mile double-stage blast through Greystoke, by which point things should have improved underfoot or the tyre, as the weather holds. And the crews obviously know the stage pretty well by the third time they do it later this afternoon. If you quite like your BTRDA rallying in highlights packages, well, the next Seacon UK rally show will have a roundup of action from this rally with the full story of the day, plus action from the Dukeries rally, which takes place tomorrow at Donington Park, and I'm commentating at Donington, so I'll see you there if you're going tomorrow. Paul Thompson, Josh Davison alongside in their escort, not yet registered for the BTRDA, but a lot of these crews surely will look at the battle they're having on the stages with our MRF Tyres BTRDA registered championship crews and think, do you know what? I could actually have a crack at this championship. So never say never. Just because these crews are not yet in the championship doesn't mean they won't be ongoing. And I'm back. Bit of housekeeping. If you're just tuning in, it's great to have you with us on this live coverage of the Malcolm Wilson Rally. It's the opening round of the 2023 MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship. And there you see Neil Andrew. Dominic Adams, 45th overall, 3rd in B11 on last year's event. Had a lot of success in the Rally First category here in the BTRDA and have graduated to a Mark II. And it was Phil Brown alongside Neil last year, but Dom Adams, who had that success in the Rally First car alongside Neil, is back in that car with him. Great to see that pair back together. Damien Prats with Colin Blunt alongside and just going onto 3 wheels, clumping the inside of the hairpin there on the Fiesta, but nicely done. Perhaps will be registered this season, but Colin Blunt, his co-driver, is... Talking of noisy rally cars, Opel Adam is a fantastic sounding car. We've got one of those coming up. Robert Proudlock, Stephen Brown, and there are 2 Opel Adam. And then we're back. To answer your question on Banner, I don't think Banner is on the latest version of the entry list. We should have had him through based on the first entry list I had, but the revised entry list doesn't have Banner on it. We haven't had Stephen Petch through either, but he was registered for BTRDA and BRC, I understand, and didn't do the recce yesterday. Perhaps he just hasn't made it to the event.
He's in here. He's off somewhere in there. Yeah.
Sorry, amendment to that last one. Petch is actually off somewhere in the stage, and that will probably be the car that we heard stopped in the stage. There isn't much signal, so normally we would get a bit of an update from our crews who are in other areas of the stage. We haven't got that this time, but we do believe that Stephen Petch, just to confirm that, he's off somewhere in the stage. Mark Shaw, James Coxon in there. Talbot Sunbeam working those rear tyres hard on that hairpin on this icy surface. Just see when the camera pans round to the inside of the hairpin that it's just starting to cut up, and you know that's going to give you a bit more grip, especially as we get to the second running of this stage. So expect to see some hard charging Rally 2 and indeed Rally 1. I didn't expect to be saying that in the UK anytime soon. Cars when we get to the second running of Greystoke, and we'll have a different location for you. At that point, we've got some really good locations scouted for you in this stage. There we go with the Opel Adam. Robert Proudlock, Stephen Brown. Neatly done. Just feathering the power a little bit out of the hairpin. It's uphill. It's a little bit deceptive on the camera, but it is uphill, and as I've said a few times, it's very icy. And it's deceptive looking at the stage on the screen as I'm doing now, because it does look hellish different to when you're actually stood on it. And if I give you a visual example, help you to visualise it, the gravel on the ridges that have been left by tyre tracks from cars going through the stages this week, setup crews and what have you, when you kick to try and kick a bit of gravel off those tracks, given that they are normally just loose bits of gravel, it's just packed in, it's solid. It's like a block of ice. Only the first part of the braking zone and then the inside of the hairpin are starting to loosen up. But it's not getting any warmer out here, so albeit where the cars have run, we're going to see the changes to the stage and the surface providing a bit more grip as we go through the rally. It's not going to improve overall. We're going to have difficult conditions right through the day. Those blue skies not yielding any sun, as we see Phil Jobson and Kevin Bowman through in their Mark 1 Escort. Great looking car. Seems to have less and less Mark 1s out these days, which is a sad thing. A Mark II Escort is no bad thing, of course. But I do enjoy seeing a Mark I Escort through. Thanks to Jamie McTavish for confirming that Steve Petch is stuck in a ditch. Really disappointing start to the season for Steve. Our 2017 MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally champion Michael Wilkinson alongside. They won this event last year. It's an event that it's not far from where they are. And they always go well here, so that's extremely disappointing. Ending in a ditch like the Rally campaign did last year. There's a car you'll have been used to seeing. Tony Simpson's Seacon UK Fiesta R2. That's actually Rich Milliner, who is the boss of the Ford M Sport World Rally team. Team manager competing in that Fiesta R2, having a bit of a busman's holiday. Experienced co-driver Claire Williams alongside. Yet to see what Claire's full program is for the season. She was talking about it recently on social media. But someone who's done an incredibly varied number of events to start the season off, that is for sure. Always enjoy watching Claire's adventures online, and that'll be an adventure today alongside the boss of the World Rally team. He'll be keeping one eye surely on how that Rally 1, and indeed how the Works Rally 2 Fiesta are doing as car 1 and 2 on this entry. To remind you, you will see that Rally 1 Puma through again, all being well, in the next live coverage from this Greystoke stage later in the day. Daniel Thompson, Matthew Thompson alongside in the Corsa. See just how slippery this stage was under the tyres of that Corsa, just scrabbling for grip both in the braking zone and trying to get the power down. What's really helping us, but perhaps not helping with clearing things up where it is snowy and wet in places, is that there's zero wind, which is making things very, very cool on the stage. Better for us though, it's the wind that makes things feel cold, isn't it? Oh, there we go. Alex asking what the cost of the entry is for the event. That's a question I can't actually answer. What would it be? I'm not even going to guess at it, producer Wayne. He was looking at me like I should guess. David Dobson, Jamie Forrest alongside in there, Mark II Escort. Normally registered for BTRDA. They weren't on my list as being registered, but again, it might not be finite, and that could all change. If you are just tuning in, this is live coverage from special stage of the first round of the 2023 MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship. It's a Malcolm Wilson rally, and after a really difficult week of weather, particularly with heavy snowfall in this part of the region and in parts of the region required to travel to this area, the organisers took the difficult decision to rearrange and in fact lose some of the stages. But that still meant we had a rally to enjoy today, which is, I suppose, the big thing. We did lose Hobcarton, Coombe and Withup, and I've spoken to some of the crews that did the recce in there yesterday, and they were horrendous apparently, like barely passable. So, you know, we've got the best version of the Malcolm Wilson that we could possibly have had given the conditions today. 3 stages here in Greystoke, split by 2 stages in Grisdale, around 40 competitive miles of stage action. Here's a car that I love to see on the stages. Derek Felbin, Mark Mason. Such a great look. I'd have this argument engine as it came into view here in Greystoke. They had a hell of a journey up. I was talking to Kaz quite a bit during her journey yesterday. She was helping let me know about road conditions, and she just sounds like they've had a real adventure to get up here, and at times, given the weather in where they were coming from in Gloucester, they were thinking of having to turn around and call it a day. So fair play to getting here, and to everyone else who made what must have been a difficult journey at the time you had to make it. Luckily I managed to set off after the worst of the weather, and the roads were pretty clear. Best run I've ever had to the Lake District. Yesterday, ironically, given the concerns, That was my luxury at being able to start just that little bit later, talking about screaming 1400s. Brake disc sparking a bit, the brakes howling, and that engine screaming on Chris Farrell's Proton Satria 1400. Harry Stubbs alongside. This is the first stage of the day. We'll give you a bit of a feeling for where the battles are as we get through the day. I'll just have a quick look, see if I can open up the leaderboard. The B14 battle is fairly close at the moment. What is it? 10 seconds separating Aaron Newby from Russ Thompson. Matthew Hurst, another 7 seconds exactly back from Russ Thompson. Then you've got Charlie Payne, Ian Bainbridge, Alistair Ginley. See David Pedley and Grace Pedley through in their Eton Yale style. Talking of iconic Mark II Escort liveries. You go to btrdarallyresults.co.uk, you can do what I'm doing. Currently showing then Aaron Newby, Jamie Edwards leading the event. And if you're looking at the combined or the BRC leaderboard, that's where the confusion will be. We are concentrating on the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship leaderboard. That shows Aaron Newby, Jamie Edwards in that Skoda Fabia R5 out in the lead. But get this, by less than a second from Rory Young and Alan Cathers. Russ Thompson, Stephen Link behind them. Then it's Matthew Hurst, Declan Deere, Charlie Payne, Carl Williamson, Ian Bainbridge and Will Atkins. You do need to just take a look at where Elliot is, and I'm hoping Ian Arden will do the honours for me there and cross-reference the times there to see where he drops into that overall fight, and we'll give you a bit more of a roundup of the classes. As I say, when we go into the second Greystoke stage, we'll have a bit more of a feel for what's going on by that point. First round of the championship. It's always interesting to see who ends up where and how quickly. Nathan Weirden, Ethan Thompson through in that Fiesta. Neil Weirden, Nathan's dad, a legendary British rally driver, of course, from the BRC days, and the Formula 2 era, was lamenting some of the changes to rallying yesterday on Twitter. We won't go into that now, but clear to see how much passion Neil still has for the sport, which is fantastic to see. Liam Clark and Ben Wild. Registered for the Junior R2 Rally Cup in this year's MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Series. The R2 Rally Cup is something that's starting to find its feet. Jonathan Jones, Jez Rogers, who were champions or reigning champions in that category, not here to defend that title just yet, the opening round. Tony Simpson, again, not out. We saw his car in the hands of M Sport Ford boss Rich Milner just a few moments ago, with Claire Williams alongside through this Greystoke stage. Someone I expect to be going extremely well through this first stage, because he just has bundles of confidence and just throws that car in at every single angle. That's why a Rally First Micro is leading the Bronze Star, Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star, for the majority of last year, is Lewis Hooper. We'll see from him shortly. First up should be a very unusual looking rally car. It's not. What have we got here? Oh, this is Robin Shuttleworth. Malcolm Smithson alongside. No, it's not. We've got a couple of cars running out of order. David Hardy for John McCulloch alongside. David in his Subaru days, now joining us in a Mark II Escort. But yeah, the car that we're expecting to see come into view any minute will be Dale Glover, Sean Ward. Definitely ones to watch in the Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star category, the 1400s this year, in their Alpha Sud. Anybody who has driven an Alpha Sud TI will know it's a cracking, fun car. And for a 1400, it's doesn't half go well. It looks fantastic with its wide arches. I love Alpha Suds, and this one is really head and shoulders. And as I say, it'll be interesting to see if we can get a bit of a charge on. And see Dale fighting with people like Lewis Hooper, Pete Gorse as he returns, Nigel Jenkins, 1400s. There's Robin Shuttleworth and Malcolm Smithson. So next up should be Dale Glover and Sean Ward. For those of you wondering why we haven't had Steve Petch through the stage. That's because he's stuck in a ditch somewhere in the first third of this opening stage of the day, this first Greystoke stage. I have to be honest and say I am struggling with both numb fingers and the way the results are working out with having some of the crews on the BRC leaderboard and not on the BTRDA one, even though they're registered for both. So we will have a bit of a rundown. I'll try and pester Ian Arden for a bit of an update as well, and championship coordinator, of course, and we'll give you a bit of a feel for that. But you can have a look yourself and navigate your way through the results so far. Which are at btrda-rallyresults.co.uk. There we go, Dale Glover, Sean Ward in Tolbert. It's a glorious looking thing, isn't it? It sounds fierce. Alpha Sud TI popping and banging its way through the Cumbrian forests. Midway through a Saturday morning in March, not the sort of time of year we would expect to see thick snow, but that's what they'll be faced with when they get to Greystoke after this stage. Still quite a bit of snow in there, I understand. And here's the man we were talking about. See what I mean? Over that little stretch there, flat out, just every bit of the car trying to get stopped for that hairpin. These conditions are ideal for someone like Lewis, a low-powered car, and don't forget rally first cars. Well, I say don't forget, you may not have known. The regs have changed. You can have a limited slip differential in a rally first car from this season, which that makes a big difference. Getting the power down and actually getting through some of these slippery sections of stage and maintaining speed, especially when you're having to negotiate things like hairpins, that will really help. I'm not sure if Lewis has got a diff in that car, but he certainly seems to be out of that hairpin with aplomb. So I'm gonna suggest, I'm gonna throw it out there and say I reckon that Lewis Hooper has got a diff in that Rally First Micro. I think that's a really good change to the regs, and I know Rally First has always been about keeping things as affordable as possible in order to give people a start in rallying. But you know what? If you're gonna get into rallying, you need to feel what a rally car does. And having a car without a diff is a difficult thing to then jump into a car with one. So I think it's a really good way. When you get in here and you're spending the money to do the events anyway, the additional investment to put a limited slip differential in one of those cars, in the grand scheme of things, hopefully doesn't break the bank. I won't speak for everyone, of course, but good sensible bit of rule change. Tim Phelps, Elwin Manuel there. Bright coloured Mark II Escort. Another pair who went well here in the MRF tyres, BTRD8 last year. I'm looking forward to the Silver Star this year. I mean, looking forward to the whole championship, but the Silver Star this year has a lot of people who are stating their intent at coming here and fighting for a title. That's always a good thing. It always leads to entertaining seasons, where you've got a lot of people saying, we'll see where we are for the first stage and go from there. I'll tell you what, that's how you do it. Ashley Francis Adams, Lucy Wilding alongside in their 1400 Micro, just getting it crossed up into the braking zone, having to get the handbrake on and just get that car switched back in order to be pointing in the right direction to get it stopped and round the hairpin. The little works style speed lines on that Nissan Motorsport liveried Micra, getting a bit of a workout there, juddering under braking. Again, just a reminder of how slippery it is out there. I can't say that enough, and I've said it quite a bit already. It is just ice. it is starting to break up and loosen up under the braking area, and then you've got an area just after the start of the braking area before the hairpin where again it's back to ice. So you get your braking wrong, and of course everyone's doing it slightly differently. That is, I think, the most sensible Philip Rowland and Philip Woodcock I have ever seen in that BMW M3 engine D36 BMW. I've never seen. Producer Wayne, have you ever seen him that sensible? No. I mean, he won't even need to wipe his side windows today. Won't be looking out at them very much if he's driving like that. It's probably a quicker way to drive. R2 there. Sound like it's revving as well as it should. The hairpin was definitely operator error. Yeah, because of the changes to the event, we have run the entry list in consecutive order, which does make sense given the challenges faced by the organisers yesterday. But it does mean that we're missing the opportunity to see the 1400s and the historics through in one batch together. And once the seeding sorts itself out after the first couple of results, we'll start to see the pack close up, and on the road you'll have the competitors in the Bronze Star a lot closer together on the entry list than they are on today's opening round. There we go, Ed James, Charlie Mason, hands flailing, trying to keep that micro under control, having grabbed a handful of hydraulic handbrake coming into the hairpin and then just having to gather it all back together, but managed it. And that looked quite smooth, but at the same time pretty quick actually. That micro working hard. Obviously, if you are looking at BTRDA rallyresults.co.uk, the stages were loaded up and set up for the original stages, so that is causing a bit of confusion with the times dropping into stages like Withup, which of course we're not running today. Rich Milner, we saw him in that Seacon UK R2 Fiesta, second place in the R2 match overall on the event, behind the Opel Adam of Robert Proudlock. Roger Nevitt and Mike Smith there on your screen. Should probably mention that Seacon UK do the logistics for not just the M Sport Ford World Rally Sim, but many others as well, and that's why Seacon UK is emblazoned down the side of that car. Tony Simpson, who himself is a successful competitor here in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship, really throwing his support behind the sport going into this year, and sponsor of our Seacon UK Rally Show, our monthly roundup show with highlights packages from various rallies around the UK. You get highlights packages from this event, the Malcolm Wilson Rally, and also from the Dukeries at Donington next month's show. First Friday of every month. So in April you go to watch the highlights of today to see Ernie Lee and Patricia Lee. It must be a thing about BMWs because they're all taking it a little steadier than they normally do, but that thing sings, doesn't it? The howl of that BMW M engine through the forests here in Cumbria. The one thing we can't bring you from home, and I do hope we can find a way one day, is the smell of a rally car through a cold forest. There's just something about it when the combination of hot, it was mainly tarmac events now. He did the Jim Clark, I think, last year in that, where he was joking, put a picture of Formo's Rally 2 Fiesta and said the opposition today is looking a bit stronger than usual. The suggestion being that Mark I Escort was perhaps going to be fighting for times on the stage with the Works Rally 2 Fiesta, which is at the head of this event. Hello, you've joined us on our new stream. This is still the first of our live stages today, the first stage of the day here on the Malcolm Wilson Rally. It's the Greystoke stage, 7.5 miles. Wintry storms hitting parts of the UK, particularly this area, and meaning that the amount of snowfall we'd had made things difficult, and the organisers had to really rack their brains last night and get creative. In a situation like that, as an organiser of a rally, you can't win. But you know what? As far as I'm concerned, they're winning right now, because we've got 5 stages and 40 competitive stage miles of action through these Cumbrian forests in spite of those treacherous conditions, and they've got everyone here safely, and everything has been done and rearranged, and everybody's been communicated to. That does mean if you were heading out spectating, and especially if you already had your car parking booked, that now has changed. You will be refunded. The organisers will refund you after the event. Don't worry about that. And we'll have live coverage from special stage to entertain you all day. Rob Bradley and Kevin Booth taking care of the entertainment though right now. Very sideways, bouncing along on the outside of the hairpin, just taking a bit of the undergrowth with them. We're about a third of the way into this 7.5 mile stage here in Greystoke. 2 Grysdale tests up next, south and north, 8.5, 8.99 miles respectively, then back to Greystoke, and we'll have live coverage for you. Not entirely sure on timings. We had all of that worked out, and graphics to go on the screen telling you when we'd be live, of course, but that has changed with the change in schedule on the rally. I'll try and get a few results up, but the results service is struggling a little bit like we are, because it hasn't yet caught up with the changes to the stages, all being set up, of course, for the original stage schedule. Dylan Fowler-Bishop, Dan Evans. Doing really well actually in that 1400 micra. I did have to laugh. They and Luke Watts were having a bit of banter on Facebook last night, or was it this morning? It must have been last night after the journey over. And there was a photo that had a picture of a Peppa Pig car at motorway service area, and Luke Watts had put, "This is my challenger for the battle for the 1400C class this year." Let's hope his MGZR is more of a contender than the Peppa Pig car. Alfie Hammond, Phil Boyle, meanwhile, stepping up into that Myerscough-sponsored Fiesta R2 this year. Using all of the revs. Waiting for that limiter before pulling the next gear in that Fiesta, heading out of the hairpin here in Greystoke. Following in the wheel tracks of a Rally 1 and worked Rally 2 car. Not something you can say very often. Probably the only time that many of these competitors will ever be able to say it, given the state of the World Rally Championship as far as the British presence in that is concerned at the moment. Anyway, 2 o'clock will be our next go live time, and that will be for the second of the Greystoke stages. We've got a cracking location lined up for you, and hopefully another location where we'll be able to give you a real flavour of just how slippery these stages are. Although you can see, as Michael Jenkins and Sophie Buckland in their Fiesta, the R2 class looking very healthy this year in the MRF tyres BTRDA Rally. See, as the cars come through the trees now, that the surface is breaking up. It is starting to loosen, and with that will come unlock the ground that's been that ice on the surface that we were talking about earlier, and that will bring a whole new challenge, because this stage is going to have a break while the cars go to Grysdale for the next 2. When they get back in here, it was 0 degrees when we pulled into the stage earlier, so I can't imagine it's got much warmer. It certainly doesn't feel like it's got much warmer than that. But then, you know, that damp could have then re-frozen in places. It's not going to be plain sailing, let's put it that way, at all today for any of our competitors here on the Malcolm Wilson Rally. But here they are. They're throwing their hat in the ring, and some of them are throwing their hat at the ring, aren't they? Remind you of Ben Friend and Cliffy Simmons in their all-glass Escort, throwing that Escort down this stage and just managing to get it round the hairpin with a bit of a flick of Scandi just to ensure it went round nice and neat. As you see, Lucy Wigley and Emma Cooper through in there. C2 R2. Neatly done there. Just a slight nip on the handbrake just to get the car to start turning in and then just get the power down and use that diff. We were talking about the diffs in the Rally First car. Using that diff in the R2 car just to get the power down and pull the car through. Build the momentum going uphill. And as I said before, it's quite deceptive. When they come off that hairpin, it does go uphill. And it is still very slippery. So a different challenge will await in the second of the Greystoke stages, although the crews will have done Greystoke the same 7.5 mile layout 3 times by the end of today now. It will likely be a different challenge altogether, albeit those 2 stages to finish the day off will be fairly close together and looped back around. If you did miss at the first part of the stream, do check it out later or tune in with us at 2 o'clock when we go live again. That Rally 1 works Puma World Rally car was a sight to behold. Cedric throwing that car into the forest here at Cumbria. He was joking with our crew last night at scrutineering that wasn't exactly the best of tests for Mexico, with a wry smile as he said it. Aaron Ricks and Abby Haycock in a Mark II Escort for this season, and going well as well. I've had some fairly formidable Mark II 1400 Escorts over the years in the MRF Tyres BCRDA Rally Series. Good to have a few more of them out fighting. A combination of front and rear wheel driving. The Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star category would please us immensely. James Lightfoot, Uda Batsinska, not registered for the MRF Tyres BTRD8 Rally Championship, but as we mentioned at the start of this live coverage, we will bring you coverage of every crew in the entry for hopefully this and the second of the Greystoke stages. That's certainly the plan, and then as many as possible before we have to dart off to the finish for the third stage, the final stage of the day, the third one through Greystoke. See if I can bring up the leaderboard. Niall Cowan and Helen Brown in their MG3. I was talking to Marcel Freeling about his MG3 when I saw him in the East Riding stages a couple of weeks ago. He and Karen Robinson hoping to come back out with some BCRDA rounds, I understand. But the MG3 series does look an interesting series. It's a one-make series, obviously. But the cars are strong, they're fun. They look good as well, don't they? And parts are readily available. So perhaps one to watch. We might get a few of those cars coming out and doing these events. See if I can bring up. I don't know how you're getting on with the results, but I'm struggling a little bit. As you see, Andrew Wheatley with Oliver Wheatley alongside in their 1400 Puma. Nice, neat and tidy. These results are so hard to navigate, given the change to the running order of the event. Talked about him a few minutes ago, and there he is in action. Son of Nigel and Kaz Jenkins. His MGZR, Luke Watts, Mark Ammons. A pair we expect to go well this year. They've had a bit of a lead in now, a bit of experience of these stages, and they've gone well so far. Time to start nailing colours to masts, as we often say. So out front of the non-BRC, the BTRDA version of the event so far, Aaron Newby and Jamie Edwards have, after this stage, which is the only stage we've got the results from as things stand, got a second lead over Rory Young and Alan Cowthers. Behind them, Russ Thompson, Matthew Hurst, Charlie Payne, Ian Bainbridge, Daniel Sigarty, Trevor Gamble, Alex Vassallo and Alistair Gindley is your top 10, but that is the overall top 10, not specifically the BTRDA. Max Crowther, Adrian Wilford through there in their Volkswagen Lupo. At the moment, Ben Friend and Cliffy Simmons called it after that fast approach here in stage one, really throwing that escort around and leading the Historics. Got 13-second lead in that category as well. In rally first at the moment, Lewis Hooper. He's leading Johnny Pickup. It's a Micra VW Polo. Giles Armitage showing us third, but I think we'll continue with the original plan and bring you coverage of the stage and then worry about the results in time for the second live stream, which you can catch at 2 o'clock here on Special Stage. If you click underneath the screen, there's a link to be reminded when we go live, so you won't have to miss any of the coverage today. We'll have to remind you all three of the Greystoke stages here on the Martin Wilson Rally. Will Armitage and Jeremy Court threading that 306 through neatly. I don't know what it is about the roof scoop on that 306, but it reminds me of Andy Burton's Peugeot Cosworth. Just a huge roof scoop. Just seeing the Peugeot 306 coming through the trees with bits of bodywork like that on it. Gives you tingles, doesn't it? Imagine if that thing was competing here today. He'd be having a good old go of it, wouldn't he? Please tell me that you're watching at home and you know what I'm talking about. It's awful to think there are people now that don't know what the Peugeot Cosworth is or was. But that will be the case. Bit of a mythical beast that's still sat there in a chicken shed with the Alfa Ferrari, I understand, at Andy Burton's place. I'd love to rescue it. What about you? Nick Taylor, Paul Gribbon, meanwhile back to the action here on the stage. A few more cars left in his first pass of the Greystoke stage before our crews head to Grisdale next. One more snow remaining in Grisdale. That will be more of a challenge. 2 stages through there and then back here to Greystoke. Hats off to all of the volunteer marshals that you can see on the stage. Fair play to you all, because it is cold out here today, and after we're long gone, I'll be hot fussing it to Donington. I'll probably be at my hotel and you'll still be out here clearing the stages and breaking down the various bits of apparatus that go into organising one of these rally routes through the forests, and that will be a long and cold. One more crack then at the live results, see if I can find some kind of coherent leaderboard, at least overall, if not for the classes as well. It does look like Aaron Newby is leading Elliot Payne, with Elliot's times cross-referenced and loaded in from the BRC leaderboard to the BTRDA. Andy Davison leading Ben Friend in the Silver Star, so that Sunbeam VXR leading the All Black escort that we saw through here. You see Kevin Down and Paul Hudson steady away, feeling their way in these difficult conditions in the escort. So yeah, 6 minutes to go. The BTRDA Rally Twitter page reporting that Andy Davison leading Ben Friend and Aaron Newby leading Elliot Payne. Elliot Payne, our reigning Gold Star champion, of course, will be looking to put to bed those demons of last year when he was going so well in his first season in that Rally 2 Fiesta and took off his rear corner. Just where we were filming live at the end of the Greystoke stage. This same stage, just messy day for him, expensive day for him, but didn't have the Mango Go livery on, so at least saved himself a few quid in vinyl wrap. But we'll be looking to put that to bed and get a good finish here this year to really kickstart the defence of his title. But it'd be really good for us and for the championship if Aaron Newby's up there fighting as well, because we really do want to see Elliot put through his paces this season. Nothing personal, Elliot, but I don't want you having it all your own way. They've got some talented drivers and some huge experience here in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship, and we want to see it all on display in this 2023 season. As you see, Johnny Pickup and Peter King, well, they were showing the results earlier, so I don't know what's gone on there, because that's very definitely the first time we've seen that polo through the stage. So a fair bit of time. The escort, Tom Harrison, Marcus Pomfret, over from Morecambe. Rallyresults.co.uk is what you need to look at. Let's have a look. Will Banks, Sam Kelter in their 1400 Nova. Just getting it bogged down there, managing to going and not stall the car. Just needed a bit more clutch as they came out of that hairpin, but nice and neat. Seems to be carrying some nice pace into here. Trying to look through to find the fight in the 1400s at the moment. I'm pretty confident, he says, at telling you that Nigel Jenkins and Kaz Jenkins are the leading 1400 crew. And actually, if I'm correct, they've got a lead of getting on for 15 seconds from Chris Farrell and Harry Stubbs in the Proton Satria. They're down in 25th overall. Jenkins in 19th, just inside the top 20 with that result. But they are the only two times I can see so far. On the result, Mark Johnson, Stephen Butler through in their micro. The car coming up, which would be ideal for these conditions, really. The relatively low power, small wheels to cut through the ice, and these nice smooth stages here in Cumbria. You're looking for David Head and Steve Perry from Hexham in their Mini Cooper. I believe it's a historic car, or at least it's a classic Mini. Give it a good old go with a Mini Cooper in conditions like these and stages like these. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nigel and Kaz Jenkins are leading the way. They're fairly comfortable, given it's only one stage. Nigel 2 seconds. We see Giles Armitage and John Rowe trying to give it a good old pull of the handbrake into the hairpin. Not quite coming off as they perhaps hoped, but do you know what? It's all about giving it a go, isn't it? Fair play to anyone who gives it a good old tug of the handbrake in front of a live camera, because unless you know exactly what's going to happen next, that can be all manner of interesting. With C2 this time it's David Thorpe. Megan McCarran alongside in their G2, sorry, C2 GT. A lot less power and prep than Lucy Wigley's C2 R2 that we saw through not so long ago. The two not to be confused. Just a couple more cars to go on this entry, and then we'll leave you and be back at 2 o'clock this afternoon for the second stage through Greystoke. Don't worry if you're just tuning in, we've flicked to a second stream. If you click on the first one, you'll be able to see the first half of the entry through this opening stage, including that spectacular Rally 1 Works Puma. Works Rally 2 car as well, heading the field away before we get to our BTRDA competitors, who were equally spectacular through this first stage of the day in less than ideal conditions. As you see, Christopher Butterworth and Kimberly Butterworth through in their immaculately prepared, and it is immaculate as well, Mark 1 Escort RS 1600, the throaty BDA cutting through pretty cold, still air here in the Greystoke forest. You can see on the camera just a little flicker of the tapes in the light breeze we've got here, but it's nothing like the heavy wind that was battering us all over the UK in the last few days, and needless to say, we haven't got any of the snow that we've had to contend with either. The R2 class looks like Robert Proudlock and Stephen Brown in the Opel. Adam is still heading the way there. I'm just scanning down the entry, down the results, sorry, at btrdarallyresults.co.uk. Results only from this first stage showing at the moment. Richard Milner and Claire Williams, the second of the R2 runners at the moment in that class, but a fair way back on times and overall position. So Aaron Newby, Jamie Edwards leading the way from Elliot Payne. Tom Woodburn, reigning BTRDA Gold Star champions. Aaron Newby would very much like to be in the thick of that, and I got it wrong. It's not a classic Mini at all, is it, David Heads? It's one of the new Mini Coopers. Still going well. I'm sure, like me, he wishes it was a classic Mini as well. We hope you've enjoyed this live first stage of the day. If you are planning on joining us later, 2 o'clock, make sure you tune in then and just enjoy the sights and the sounds of the top couple of cars on this entry before we get into the BTRDA rally action here in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Series for the afternoon stages. 5 stages then after a changed schedule, making up the 2023 Malcolm Wilson Rally, the opening round of the BTRDA Rally Series. 3 from Greystoke, 2 from Grisdale, 40 stage miles. We've had the first of them, 7.5 miles done for our leaderboard. That's it for now from Special Stage. We'll have more live coverage at 2 o'clock. We'll see you then.